Hello everybody, so today we are doing, I believe this is a Silver 4 Furia VOD. So we have, first of all, a YouTube video, which is great because it means we get to rewind without crashing stuff, and it's also great because we don't really get to see too many uh, ELOs below like Diamond or Plat, so hopefully this should be interesting. So let's see, the build, that's my build. I have that build. um, yeah, I think it is good. I think okay, this is straight up my build. So, I mean, I obviously like it. Um, I will say is that I change it. Do you have like what are your other builds? Okay, so you have just a handful. Okay, that's a fun meme build there in the bottom right. Did I have that one at some point? I don't remember. I don't think so. So, right. This one pointer here on the left. Um, this is honestly personal preference, but most of the time I'd have it as the I forget the card's name, but it gives you one ammo after you heal. I think that is very, very good when you are playing. Most of the time, the only downside of the card is that like it sort of messes with your reload cancels because you'll be reloading, you'll heal, and then you'll get your one ammo back, and you have to reload again. So it can be tricky to like mess with it. Usually, you just have to like finish your reloads. So you kind of trade your ability to reload cancel for basically higher ammo. I think higher ammo would be very good against those tanks because I think against no shields and nothing that super hard contests you at range, I think you can farm damage this game. So start Chronos Nimble. Nimble's a bit weird because this game, just looking at their team, that's a lot of CC. Spending items on things that you don't strictly need, like Nimble, it's not great because you're gonna struggle to buy enough resil. If you were gonna go into more like luxury items sort of thing, I think Haven Veteran is a bit better, but yeah. You could have also started Morale Boost if you think that you can farm alt off their tanks fast enough for the first mid, but nothing standing out too much. Stun Con is a bit weird. What announcer is that? Oh, you use old VGS. What the heck? So, so the one thing that I was gonna say is that like you guys have blind control. You don't really need to do anything. So I'd watch. Just gotta be careful. You're getting shot. Okay. So one thing I will say here is that you notice like you started in the right spot. Your team should usually control high ground, and your team did kind of debate you. Like they all started up here, and then everyone kind of went to the left. So normally your con would push up this right side, and this Amani wouldn't really be able to do this. But your con wasn't there, so the Amani was able to do this. So aside from noticing that, right? What you can do here is sort of notice what your team is trying to do and where your team is and sort of adapt to that. So like here you'd back into mid because that's where your team is, right? Like yes, you want to be high ground, but if you're in, it's like I mean the thing that you hear the most is like five idiots doing something together is like a strategy. Like if it's five people doing, there's definitely a way to phrase it better, right? But like you get the point. If you're doing something on your own that's good, quote unquote, but your team isn't, you're doing it on your own and that's bad. But if your team is all doing something bad together, then it can work. But your team was a fake. Cool. So small thing there, but you could have healed the con instead. The con was out of cauterize. The barrack would be out of cauterize by the time for your next heal. So small thing. I like to heal people who say need healing early just so they shut up. That's unlucky. That sucks. There we go. Small thing that you're gonna do there, right? Notice your ammo. What are you shooting? Like here, what are you shooting, right? Not, again, unlucky heal, but like you're just dumping shots into your teammates. It's a bad habit. It's a very common bad habit too. But notice how it kind of hurts you here because now you have 2 ammo left and you see the move, right? If you had full ammo, you just shoot her. She's probably dead. But. Okay, it worked out. You did a good job of like playing with your dredge. So like you restorative with your team, so that's good. But God, I love being able to rewind in VODs. So you notice how here you're kind of okay. You have 2 seconds left on your heal. You can sort of see the mave in the bottom left of your screen, just above your health bar. And you just kind of stare at your dredge for 2 seconds, right? And he TPs away, and that's great. And your bear gets the kill. But during those 2 seconds, you don't just want to like look at someone and wait for your heal to come back, right? You can do a lot more than just heal, right? You have your damage, your healing, and your CCs. The 3 things that I like to say. So when you're not doing your healing, you want to be doing your damage. So you definitely have time to put shots into the mave. Then when your heal cooldown comes back up, then you heal the dredge. Shooting your team again. Like, see here, you're doing better here, right? You're shooting, you shoot Rom, heal your team, go back to shooting Rom, heal your team. So just to talk about like target priority a bit, right? You did how many times did you shoot the Rom? Just like a whole bunch, right? You did what, like 600, 900 damage to him, right? 600 like let's say you did 900 damage. 900 damage to a Rom is like nothing. Like that does realistically like how much of Rom's health is that? It's like 10% maybe. But if you do that damage to the Amani, who's on the left side, that's like almost half of her HP, right? So when you can, generally, you want to focus down squishies instead of tanks, just because they're easier to kill, right? So there, instead of shooting the Rom, you shoot the Amani. Maybe it helps your Khan live because the Khan is under as much pressure. So here, what's your team doing, right? Well, your team's dead. Your team's dead. You can't really do too much. So you notice that your Eevee is in the back left, and I think your Dredge is somewhere back in mid too. And you are basically kind of fighting these 4 people on your screen by yourself right now. So you definitely look to back up here. Just again, it's like you want to match what your team is doing. And right now your team's playing pretty slow. That gets a kill, that's pretty cool. Unlucky. So part of this comes from maybe not moving towards your team as early as you can. And the other bit comes from the fact that you're basically standing out in the open right now, right? There's everybody on their team who can see you. So there's a few things you can do here. You can either try to make this... Oh, I can pull up Epic Pen. Hold up. I can pull up Epic Pen. This is great. I can draw. There we go. Okay. God, I love being able to... YouTube videos make VODs so much easier. So you started up here, right? So you have a few options. Really. You can either try to back down here and use this sort of... Oh, that's... Here, which I'll cover in blue. And use this sort of wall here as your cover. Or you can try to do something maybe a bit more aggressive. You can try to like dash way across here and help your dredge. I think backing down here would be the safer option, because then who really would have LOS on you? Maybe the Mave who's up here in the ROM, but then the Amani who's like on point, and I think the Dom is there too, wouldn't be able to see you. So try and use cover and still just playing with your team. Oh, okay, that's fast. That's pretty cool. Remember that capturing the objective gives you 300 credits, so if there's something that you wanted to buy, you have 300 more credits to do it with. I think Kronos, Resilience, Haven Veteran, Morale Boost maybe. I don't think this is a super interesting game for items. I don't think... Nimble's not bad, right? Don't get me wrong. Nimble is a good item. I just think that there are things that are more important. Like Morale Boost, you can farm your ult against these tanks very quickly, so you can spam the best ult in the game. Kronos you kind of need because you need to heal people better. Resilience, Haven, and Veteran all kind of follow the same idea of they help you live things. And just like, okay, you know how, like you talked about, like how dealing damage to the Amani, then to the, like dealing 900 damage to the Amani is more impactful than dealing 900 damage to the Rom. So it's sort of the same idea when it comes to healing your team. So I think you try to heal the Eevee, right? But she's not in your LOS, which is unfortunate. You heal the Con instead. 600 HP to a Con, not much compared to 600 HP to an Eevee. That's a third of her health. And same thing here, we can talk about what you're mounting towards, right? Your team is fighting in the mid. Why are you going top right if your team is fighting in mid? You can try to make solo plays if you want. Furia's okay at doing that. It's very risky, but she is probably the best character, probably the best support at making solo plays. It's not something you want to do very often, though. It's definitely not something that you want to do as your default. So mounting down mid, you could probably have gotten a heal on your Eevee there. Maybe kept her alive. You still, so you see, it's like the same sort of themes, right? You're wasting ammo, kind of shooting at nothing. You did a better job of weaving your heals in between your shots, though. I don't think your tanks were getting out of there anyways, but. Oh. Okay, fair enough. Take it.
I like it. You're not done yet.
So here you might want to start thinking about how you're going to use your ult. And in general, you use your ult to break choke points or on mid fights. Mid fights because they're like really important, right? And you use them to break chokes because the enemy team has a defensive advantage, and you need to counter that defensive advantage somehow, and ults are the best way to do that generally. So you could probably just start thinking about, okay, when's it going to get really hard for us to push the cart? Because here, right now, it's kind of difficult for them to contest, but once the cart gets to like closer to here-ish maybe, then you can think about spending your ult and what you want to do with it. You should be able to teleport out. So again, what's your team doing here, right? Your team's taking like a big fight on the left, and you're not there. So they might win it. The con ult definitely helps, but you're not really having an impact just because you're not really with your team. I guarantee you. Remember how you peeled for your dredge earlier? And you didn't even do that much, right? You didn't weave your heals in between your shots well. But you were there, and the dredge won that fight, but because you weren't there, the dredge lost that fight, right? So you can kind of see how like you just positioning even a little bit differently like means that your team just wins those fights. Someone just fell off the map. Oh, did the con throw the Inara off the map? Slight bit of tunnel vision. Big heals out of caught though. Good stun. I don't think I would have dashed there, but
You're lucky that I let you help me.
cool. I don't. How did this heal? Oh, sorry, not this heal. The next one. How does this?
You're lucky that I let you.
Huh? How does that heal the barrack? What? Alright. That's an interesting one.
You are not welcome here.
Cool. The other team is kind of staggering a little bit, but that's not a problem. You can, if you want, you can look top left, see that your dredge is half HP somewhere, and be like, "Hey, that's my responsibility. I gotta keep my team healthy." So, I don't know where your dredge is, honestly. But look, you know, you can look around, see where he is. Beam? Where? These dots. So same thing. You could sort of say like, well, I got ROM ulted. You know, what am I gonna do about that? Well, again, you are standing out in the middle of the open, right? You just came. There's a room behind you, basically, right here. This thing right here. this is very safe for you. If they want to get on top of you, they have to like go inside a room, and that's one, safer for you, right? You have like less things can see you, so you're going to take less damage. And two, it's easier beams, so you have a lot better chance at actually defending yourself. So instead of being out in the open, like the Romp could still run in and ult you, right? But it'd be less scary. It'd also be less scary if you bought resilience. But you know, maybe this Mave wouldn't see you, and you wouldn't have as much follow up. So the way that VODs usually goes, I'm gonna like nitpick, or not nitpick, sorry, I'm gonna like talk about like really big themes at first, and then we're gonna get into more like nitpicky details later. So there's not too much you could have done there. Then you only had like 2 people alive, you shouldn't have won that fight. What I will say is that you didn't spend your ult, and I think you should be, like, you have not spent your ult yet. So you generally want to be ulting at least twice per round. On the mid fight, if possible, and on the push or defense. And I mean, if you just think about it, right? Like, if you ult more, you're going to win more fights, which is always helpful. So. I'd still be going into resilience here. I think for their ultra CC, Amani has a CC. Like, there's so much crowd control in the other team. Resilience is really good here. So this mid, right? The things that like you'd want to think about going into it are, like, you know, you just kind of look at what your team's doing. Okay, cool. How do I support what my team is trying to do? And then I'd also think about like how you're going to use your ult, which is probably just going to be like as soon as the fight really gets underway. Yeah. It's a reasonable time to ult. Stop shooting your barrack. It's a realm on you. For it. So, you know, you can kind of see the impact of resilience again, right? This ends here, maybe? You can see where the Mave is. You know there's a Ram on you, but... But you do end up living. Hey, notice how you're walking through mid again? So instead of dashing this way, you could have done a dash this way, and then played inside this room here. And again, that way you're using cover. Now you're sort of using cover, right? There's like this little roof above you here. You have this wall to play with. But you're also split from your team. So again, it's the big themes here. You don't want to be split from your team, really, and you want to be using cover. So it's like, how do you combine those two concepts into what you actually do in game? And in this case, getting inside this room gives you cover and lets you play with your team. Most of this game is really just like understanding the big concepts and then how well you apply them. Like, say there, like, you took a lot of damage that you didn't need to, right? Like, she misses a shot. You can see the trail here. So you could be dead for peeking this, right? But she missed, and now you get like, you know, good dash. You lived, good job. But it could have been cleaner, you know. Could be better. So what's your team doing right now? Well, your tanks are on point, and your EV is pushing your right side. So I tend to really prioritize what my DPS do. I think enabling DPS is just more impactful than enabling tanks. So here I definitely look to go help my EV. Which you do. A bit late, but you do it. Which I think is the important bit, so cool. You know what I'm going to say here? So that's a good heal, right? When you're staring at her, you're like, I have 1 second left on my cooldown, and I'm going to stare at you until I have it back. But you could do like 600 damage to this Inara and then heal the EV, right? It's a good heal. It's a good heal. But you know, there's no reason to not do damage. I think your own dredge freaked you out, but hey, you're playing with your DPS.
I
This is
say
really
when
good.
it's over.
Try to burn the dragon if you can. Oop. For it. So again, like, what is your team doing? I'm gonna keep repeating myself because I genuinely think like this is a big deal. So like, you have these people over here. You have your EV doing whatever. All right, it's an EV. You can leave her alone. Um, you keep following your team. You slow down for like a little bit, and that gets you killed. And your dredge also kind of messed up. Your team should still win though. Just as okay, so I don't generally like to talk about what your team's mistakes are in VOD reviews because, like, that doesn't like help you that much. What I will say is that this con should be on high ground on right side. This like basically the entire game. He should not be touching the objective because I mean it's the offlane. And like offlane is good because it gives you control over most of the map, right? And that usually includes the objectives. So like if you have control of this high ground, it's really good. That's kind of your con's job here, your off tank's job. The con and the ROM should basically be battling for the offlane. So if you do get a game where your con is on the offlane, this will become a lot easier, right? This is when your tanks stack on point like this, it makes your job very, very awkward, very difficult as a support. So just as a heads up, this might, things might change in other games. And also the way to punish this, like you'll see that their ROM is stacking, is that you now know that, well, the offlane is open, right? So if you ever see someone on your team pushing the offlane, you know that if you pocket them, if you enable them very, very hard, they'll be able to get like free backline or free map control or, you know? So it'd be really good. So it's just something to keep an eye out on. How many people are in the offlane? Buy anything? Nimble? Again, I think resilience is better, but yeah. I don't think nimble has necessarily helped you. They got overtime over that? Okay. You guys should still just cap.
You're not done.
Sure. Unlucky. You can't heal him as he's TPing out, but again,
You are not
you know,
welcome here.
try to leave some heals in between there. Big dredge ult. So you see this Monty again? If she was to turn for you right now, you have no dash, you are standing in the open again. So like, walking this far in is not great. Dashing back here is good, but again, you sort of have this corner that's like just to your right that you can play inside. Let's cover, and like, you don't need to be holding hands with your team to play with them necessarily. You can still heal the Spirit, you can shoot the things that he's shooting, you can help him with his fights, and that's kind of what playing with him means. And you can do it in a safer way.
We took it.
Nice. I wouldn't have thrown Beam there, but like that was really good. Like unironically. That was the first time I think I've seen you like hardcore use your weapon there, and you got a kill for it. So like that's good. But yeah, let's go back to his actual beam usage. So like, how many shots do you think you can get in during this animation? It's like 3 shots maybe. It's like she has like half the HP that she would normally if you just didn't beam. And what happens if you do hit the beam on her? Then you get to shoot her 3 times, which is the cost of throwing the beam in the first place. So this is something that I made a somewhat memey video about called the cost of crowd control. But like, if you do more damage by just shooting them instead of stunning them and then shooting them, then just shoot them, right? There's no point to stunning them. Good kill. You probably back up to your team. Oh, where'd he go? Okay.
I say when it's over.
And I think I would have rather seen a heal on the dredge. Did that heal the con, dude? How? Oh, he TP'd out. Okay, that's... Okay, well, he should live, I guess. Nice. You just steal that? Nice. So Dread is still fighting something. Like, you hear the Amani noises. Cool, good heals though. What's your team doing? Well, your team is in mid and your team is pushing the left side. So how do you help your team and still remain inside cover? I think here would be a really good option to be like right behind your con. You are inside cover, you have all these walls to work with in this little building right here, and you're helping your con push. I think that'd be really good. Because right now you're on point, your barracks on point, who cares? Your barracks doing, you know, it doesn't push faster if more than one person on it. Being in the open here is risky for you, so I think, you know, you don't need to be on point.
You're not done yet.
Good heal. You could have maybe waited for cauterize if we're going to be a little nitpicky, but that's a good stun. I'm still going to keep pointing out that you're in the open. This is risky. Still risky. Or are you going to get punished for it? Are you going to get punished for it? Okay, well, you're sort of getting punished for it. You're being forced to, like, leave and go away, like, really far, right? But you can see how this gets bad very quickly. I think you could have maybe helped your EV once you were in that spot. If you don't have your full meter up, sometimes it's more damage to use beam, or sorry, to use dash, because that's 600 damage, and sometimes you can like dodge a shot, you know, like if you hit F here, or yeah, I think you have it bound to F. That's 600 damage to her. You probably don't take as much damage. Maybe you live. Maybe the con gets the kill, right? And maybe you live. At the very least, dashing out of the beam is the Amani beam is good.
I say when it's over.
That was a ghost heal, unfortunate. Nice. I think I would prioritize throwing these beams less than you are. I think unless like there's nothing better for you to do, your heals and your damage are going to be more impactful, like 90% of the time. Like stopping Rom Dash is obviously very good. Stunning people when there's follow-up is very good. But most of the time in fights, you're just going to do more by just doing damage and healing.
Lucky that I let you help me.
On Furia specifically. Like, see, that beam's fine because you can't see anything. There's nothing better for you to do. Like, you can't see anyone cool. But yeah, that was good. I don't know about peeking mid again, but that's fine. Good heal.
You're not done yet.
Again, try to prioritize the squishies over the tanks. So like you playing with your dredge here is like this ROM is scared of you too. But if it was just you or just the dredge, like you'd be dead. Instead, kill your dredge. But instead, like you guys are holding this, you guys are winning this. Get the kill, get the kill. Maybe. So standing in the open applies to like little moments too, right? Like here, you're gonna end up standing like here. If you were actually standing like right here, you have this sort of thing as cover. That's absolutely tiny. Like that's a small position. That's a very small, kind of insignificant positioning thing. And the bigger mistake there is that you didn't heal your dredge and he was forced to teleport away, right? But you know, there's a world where your dredge does teleport away. You hide here, kill the Mave, stun the Rom, kill the Rom. You know, that's a play that you could have made. Or you could have just healed your dredge and then you both killed these two, right? But like that was better. Do you see how like you playing with your team and like doing consistent damage and healing is like actually putting in like a lot of work? You see how that's like different than the other times you've been doing not that? Like close. You buy resilience, you buy Chronos. You buy anything else? Okay. Again, I think items in this meta for supports are like Chronos, Haven, Veteran, Rezel. You can buy morale boost sometimes, you can buy master riding sometimes, you can buy nimble sometimes. But I think like those are the core items, and they don't switch out very often. Like you don't buy Chronos on things like Io or you know, um, and you don't need resilience if the other team doesn't have any CC. But in general, I think those are definitely the items that you're just buying those most of the time, just because that's kind of the way that the item store is balanced right now. It's kind of what's strongest. Like if you had, maybe some Haven and Veteran in there, maybe you don't need to, make as clutch of a play versus the EV or the Mave and the ROM, right? Maybe you just like live because you have like, 200 more HP.
I say when it's over.
There's downhill play if you're. Ooh. So again, you see, like just small differences there. You say you're absolutely beating up the Mave when the Dredge is with you, then you leave your Dredge, the Mave beats you up, right? So that's positioning things, but I think I've beaten that into your head enough times. So let's start getting into a bit more nitpicky. So I definitely recommend like focusing on like the stuff that I've talked about more. I think that stuff is more important, but I think like that's enough examples. I want you to start like picking that stuff up. So let's talk about like how you actually beat this Mave, because there's a world where you do it. Obviously, like getting this heal on the Dredge, that's unlucky. That gives you more Wrath. I think right here, as soon as you see this, you dash off, because what it does two things. One, it's like that Amani cannon again, right? It dodges her shot and it does 600 damage to her. And that's a super positive trade for you, right? It's like a plus 1400 trade. So you dash here, you don't take the damage that you took, right? So you dash, don't take this damage. And she has 600 less HP. You don't heal here. You are in a 1v1. Your life is important. Your life as a support is the most important life on your team. If you die, your team's done for. So this Eevee is like, first of all, she's missing like no HP. You're missing a lot of HP. And you are in a lot more danger than she is. She's probably fine. She is an Eevee. She has like 17 different ways to survive. So you shoot. You don't try to walk away. You try to kill the Mave. So if you think about it, right, you put maybe 300, 600 damage just from doing extra shots. You put another 600 damage in from your dash. You gain like 800 HP from dodging her shots. And then like because you have an extra 800 HP, maybe you put another 300 damage into her. I think you win that. We're also gonna. The other thing that I will say is that you did put yourself in a not great spot, right? It was still winnable, but it was not great because again, you have zero cover here. You're putting yourself in the open. The Mave sees this, and she's like, "This is a free support." If you're not in the open here, the Mave doesn't ever get the chance to go in. And if she does force it, she does decide that she wants to int on you. Then you have cover and walls to play around. You can look for like cheeky beams and stuff, and then it tends to work out a lot better. So basically, right, slightly unlucky heal on the Dredge. You shouldn't be here in the first place. Dash to dodge her shots. Don't heal. Keep shooting her, and you probably win that. Also, Haven Veteran would help. Or ulting. Oh my god, I didn't even realize you had your ult. If you, again, your life is like the most important thing. If you need a Fury ult to save your life in a team fight like that, then you should 100% do it.
You're not done yet.
Also, please stop using old BGS. I don't hate that beam, it forces her out. So again, what are you looking to do with your ult here? Honestly, just kind of wait for your team to come back and then use it. That's really it. You're still waiting on your con to respawn. So where is he? He's here. You could maybe ult now. Your team's starting to take a fight. You ulting probably helps them lock in a little bit. Maybe it seems like a bit early, but not really much is going on, but your ult does have a wind up, so by the time the wind up is done, your team's probably doing some more things. Like your Barrick just asks on a point, he has his, he has wings. This Dredge who's fighting the Mave has wings. You have wings, so you can start fighting the Mave. Right idea. I think okay. This is good. I think you need to count the wind up in though. I think you need to ult like slightly earlier. Take that wind up into consideration. So your Barrick's fighting, and your Dredge is fighting. Barrick's fighting their tank, your Dredge is fighting the Mave. Again, I tend to prioritize squishies a bit more. That's just me personally. I think it's better because I think DPS have more of an impact. And I also think that your Barrick is, first of all, he's very safe. This man has a dome shield on him. He is absolutely vibing. The Dredge is fighting a Mave 1v1. He is in a lot more danger. I would try to prioritize him a lot harder. There's no audio. Did I? What? Okay, first of all, this dragon is completely silent. That's unlucky. Did we get a... Okay, so we heard the Amani voice line. And you kind of see the dragon. But if you didn't, it's just like, oh, hello. Okay, that's something else. So yeah, I think you play for your Dredge better. Play for your Dredge more. And I think you need to start using dash to dodge fights. You're in trouble, you dash away. Morale boost is good. I don't think you've been ulting enough to get actual value out of it, but there's one thing that I will mention too. You always go this way, like, or like out the other side. That is slower, so what you can do is come out this way, hug this wall, and wall jump up here, and then keep going. And this is faster no matter which way you want to go. So I'll just link a video below that I made that explains it, instead of talking about it here. Good beam. I wouldn't stand still, but cover. I think you're trying to do something by yourself, which it's not the end of the world. If you had more Wrath, maybe you get away with that. If you were in cover, maybe you get away with that. So if you're playing like here, Monty can't see you. Yeah.
El enemigo es imparable. Doble eliminación enemiga.
Also, I wouldn't worry about the con spam. You need healing too much. Like, again, I don't want to talk about like your teammates too much. I don't feel like that's helpful. But he is not playing super well. He's hit con ults, which is like great. But his positioning is absolutely garbage on mid fights. Playing with your Dredge. Remember how the Mave kind of just used all of her cooldowns and inted you on the mid fight, but now you're playing with your Dredge, so she's kind of playing scared because she has to, because you're two people and she has one person. Ghost Heal. Ghost Heal, for context, is that when you do the animation but nothing happens. It's a very annoying bug. It happens on a lot of characters. It happens on Furia, happens on Corvus, happens on I mean, not really Damba, but Furia and Corvus are definitely the most noticed. It happens on Io. It's actually crazy. Cool. Oh, you could have dashed. I think you were fine there until you didn't dash.
El enemigo es salvaje.
Oh, hello. Cool. I think you could have taken that. I think you always had dash to spawn as an option. I'm getting flashbacks to the last mid fight. Maeve's inting you. You're in the open. No one's near you. I guess I wonder what happens next. There you go, right? Yeah, I don't mind Haven here, but again, I think I don't think Nimble's necessary. I think you need resilience. Other than that, your items are fine.
está en mapa
You're
visual.
actually not needing the heal your other people were fighting. In the open, no one's near you, right? Same story. Oh, you're gonna live though. Okay, they dashed out. Fair enough. Okay, but you see how like you could have died there. The good news though is that like 3 of your deaths have been to this one thing. Like 3 pretty important deaths too. 3 of your deaths have been to this one thing, which means that if you fix that one thing, you just immediately takes 3 deaths off the table, and that's really good. That'll help you out a lot. So here comes the silent dragon again. Smile.
Capture the objective.
You're not worried about that guy. That was a really weird grab.
El enemigo es inmóvil.
Yes, I think your dashes are weird. I think this dash is interesting. I'm not sure. I think you just dash into spawn because Maeve kills you here with 1 left click and a dash. I think maybe not with Haven, but even then. And again, if you are thinking you're gonna die, you have your ult. You're about to lose the game. I'd spend it. Your life is that important.
Eliminación enemiga.
Like, see, like this dome is probably just gonna save you the game, right? But like if your barrack doesn't dome or he doesn't have it for some reason, then you dying loses you the game. Like ults are pretty good, dude. Because I know this is a win. So
15 segundos.
again, don't think that beam is worth it. You just do more by doing healing and damage, but
8,
you do hold.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
So like, where do you play here, right? You have a few options. Don't walk into that, please. You have up here where your beam is. That's sort of near spawn. You can always dash in, so you're effectively invincible. You have like next to these rocks over here, which again is like pretty far away, and you're kind of by yourself. But again, you have like this spawn room that you can just dash into, so you're invincible. You can play up here. Just you got to be careful of getting flanked. So it's a bit riskier, but if your team is up there, it's really good because it's like high ground. But generally, you just play near your beam. That's kind of unlucky. Oh, you see nice. Okay, cool. But again, like you standing in the open is like causing most of your deaths.
Capture the objective. Ultimate is down. Good luck. Have fun.
Oh, also, okay, hold up. I was gonna mention something I forgot. Wait, where was it? This beam on the ROM. This is like not necessary. He is not threatening you in any way. And that beam probably doesn't hit anyways. Like if Rom just wants to run around and do nothing, just let him. You only really need to beam him when he actually starts threatening someone. Cool.
3, 2, 1.
You look like you were gonna make the jump for a second.
On my way.
You're not done yet.
Okay. I don't know where you're going with this, but I like the all. Well, you know, if you were here, maybe, you know, like if you were here, you have like this sort of cover to play with. You can always dash behind this sort of box, and you have this fellow right here to help you out. So, but it was a well-timed ult. I think the Eevee just saved you because she ice blocks Inferno Cannon. Is that how does that work? I think that works. It seems like it works. It looks like it's working. Either way, I would not really have walked into it. You did like nothing different that mid fight except ult. I just want to point that out. Like you didn't really do anything that different, but you ulted early and your team won the fight for it. Like you see how like these small things to just like change how like you didn't even do anything that much different. You just hit a button. And your team was the fight. It's really what you do here. One, I think you can beat this Amani. You're Furia. You have ult. You are. Do you know how DPS like? You know that thing people say when like they talk about like animals and it's like they're more scared of you than you are of them. That's DPS players with Furia. Like I swear to God, DPS players are all bitches. When it comes to Furia, they're all scared. So, especially with ult, and with basically full RAF. And if you use cover, like this Amani cannot beat you, um, and especially because you have your team nearby. Like this is a matchup you can take. So you don't have to be like defensive here. You can say, you know what, screw you, I'm gonna kill you now. And you dash, you're towards your team. The Rom's like, well, okay, you'll buy then, I guess. What's he gonna do? Beam him when he starts threatening people.
I say when it's over.
Or if like you can kill him, obviously. Okay, so what's your team doing? Well, your Eevee is like in their spawn, right? Cool, it's an Eevee, whatever. She has like mobility and stuff. If you can support her, that's cool. But you don't need to. She's just gonna be doing her own thing. Your Dredge is in the back line, and both your tanks are on point. And what are you doing? You are pushed way far up here for some reason. So again, where would you like to be? Well, really, what you'd like to be is here, with your con being like over here or something. But your con isn't there, so you can either play high ground, and then you have options to like back up to, or you can play down here with your Dredge. Usually, I don't say playing down here is good. I don't say playing down here is very good. It's, you know, if the other team pushes up here, it's very bad for you. But it's kind of your only option. Or you can play all the way, you know, like this room back here with the door. You can play back there if you really want to be safe. Does he? I don't think they even get touch. Oh, you're with your team. Heal, oh my god, heal the Dredge. Okay. You meant to heal the con. I know you meant to heal the con. That was a good heal on the Dredge, but you meant to heal the con. Bro, Furia heal. Who does that even go on? Is that going the con or the... That goes on the Dredge? The Dredge is missing it. Does that go on the Eevee? That's the only person it can go on, right? Because like the Con, the Dredge, and the Barrack are all missing HP. We'd see if their HP bar went up. We'd see the green numbers. The Eevee's the only one at full HP. And I don't have enough pixels to see if the Eevee... Furia heal is a mess. That being said, it's a mess you gotta get used to, so... yeah. Okay, cool. Good job. You win the game. So cool. Thank you for some... Or this wasn't submitted on VOD, this was a Paladins Academy VOD, but... Yeah, I think recording VODs for, like, every elo is cool, because obviously it's not just, like, Diamond players who are trying to get better at the game, you know? So... yeah, notes will be below, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.